Let's learn how to use Visual Studio 2013 to attach to a Microsoft SQL Server 2014 database, and also how to create a database and tables and insert data. First thing we want to do after opening up your Visual Studio is go over to your SQL Server 2014 and copy the connection or the server name that you use when working with your data. I'll highlight that and copy it, and then I'll come back to my Visual Studio and I'm going to right mouse click on Data Connections and choose Add Connection. Then I'm going to paste in that server name and I'm going to click Test Connection, and that says the connection works. Go ahead and click OK, and then you realize you forgot to attach to a specific table. Don't panic. All you have to do is right mouse click on that newly created connection and choose Modify Connection. It brings up that same window you saw earlier, and now you can click on the down arrow and see all the different databases that you were working with earlier. Just choose one of the databases and then click OK, and you can actually confirm that it did attach to that database by clicking on the arrow and then clicking on the arrow next to the tables, and you can see all of the tables in that database. You can even right mouse click on one of those tables and choose Show Table Data, and you can see all the data. Go ahead and close that window once you look at the data, and let's come back over here to that connection we just created. Right mouse click and you can delete a connection by simply choosing Delete. Yes, you want to delete the connection, but it does not delete your database that you have out there in SQL Server. Now let's learn how to create a brand new database in SQL Server using Visual Studio. Right mouse click on Data Connections and choose Create New SQL Server Database. Paste in the name of the server and then give it a new database name. Let's call ours NBA and click OK. This now creates a database called NBA in your SQL Server. If I click on the tables, I notice there are no tables. Let's create some tables. Right mouse click on Tables and choose Add New Table. First thing you want to do is change the table name. Easiest way to do this is by coming down to the script area where you see the SQL used for creating the table and putting in the new table name you want to work with. Let's type in the word team, meaning we're going to create some records for basketball teams. Now I want to come up to the top and I can start typing in my column names. Notice also that it did change the name of the table. You can see that in the design window. First column, type in team ID, and we'll leave it an int, and we want to make sure that it does not have nulls because it's a primary key. And I just use the tab key to go in between columns. And then type in team name, and we'll make that a varchar for 30. And once again, it cannot be null. Once you have those two columns in there, we're ready to go ahead and create that table. The way you do it is by clicking on this button right here, Update. Click on Update. SQL Server will go out and test to see if it worked, which it looks like it did, or it's thinking about it still. And once it comes back and says that it works, then we'll be able to actually really create it. Now go ahead and click on Update Database. And as you notice with this little symbol right here, it worked and it updated the database. So if we right mouse click on Tables, you'll see, and choose Refresh, you're going to see that we have the team there. Right mouse click on Team, that new team table, and choose Show Table Data. Now I can come in and start typing in data within that table. I'm going to enter in the values 1, Utah Jazz, and I'll type in 2, Denver Nuggets, and I'll type in 3, Oklahoma Thunder. and then I can close that table, and I have 3 records in that team table already. Let's create another one. Right mouse click on tables and choose add new table. Remember, first thing you do, change the table name. We'll call this one player. And we'll come up here and we'll make player ID the primary key. We'll leave it an int, and then we'll have player last name. We'll make that a varchar for 30, not null. We'll have player first name, make that a varchar 30, not null. And then we'll have a field called position code, which is a varchar for 2, not null. And then let's go ahead and add team ID, and that's going to be an int, not null. This team ID will be a foreign key back to our team table, and we'll find out later on that position code will also be a foreign key to the position table. Once you type in the table structure, click Update, and then click Update Database, and it looks like it worked because we have that little green symbol. Close that window, right mouse click on tables, 2 tables there. Right mouse click on the player table and choose Show Table Data. Player ID 1. Last name, we'll enter in the name Jones, first name Bob, position code G, team ID 1, meaning Utah Jazz. Player ID 2. Last name will be Smith, first name John, position code F, team ID 1. Player ID 3. Player last name will be Rascal, Spanky, C, player or team ID 1. That now means we have 3 players on the Jazz. Let's go ahead and create some other players though. Player last name Mouse, Buddy, PF, team ID 2. And let's create one more player, and we'll say that the player's last name will be Flint, first name Fred, position code GF, team ID 3. So we now have 5 players in there. Go ahead and close both of those windows. Let's create one more. You try to create a table for positions, and that position table will have 2 columns. The first column will be called position code, which will be a varchar for 2, and the second column will be position description, which will be a varchar for 20. Now that you've tried that, I'm going to go ahead and do it also by right mouse clicking on table, add new table. First thing I do, change the table name. I'll call it position, and then come up here and we'll say position ID is a varchar for 2, not null, and position description a varchar for 20, not null. Update, and update database says that it worked. Refresh the tables, right mouse click on position, and now I can add data. I'll add G for guard, F for forward, C for center, PF for power forward, and GF for guard forward. And I have 5 records. Close those windows, and that's how you create a brand new database, SQL Server database, using Visual Studio, how you add tables to that database, and how you add data to those tables.